Hey. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you though.
You can't hear me now? You can't? Uh-oh.
Are you muted?
No.
Am I muted? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Julie, if you're on the line, can you hear me? Could you type in the chat box?
I can hear you, but you can't. No, I can't hear you. Oh, okay. Here. Oh. No, that's not working. Oh, wait. Say something, Angela.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I did that last week and my volume was just turned all the way down. I was like, oh no, my computer isn't working. I'm like, oh, I just need to turn the volume. So
that. Awesome. Okay, let me make
sure. Hi, Duquette. Great to see you.
Hi. Well, it's 10:01. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Sound
Let's
good?
do it.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Prochaska, and my beautiful, amazing co-host, Angela Johnson there. So how this came about is I'm a generator type. I do a lot of human design work, and Angela is an amazing colleague and friend. If you weren't at Ignite, her event back in, when was it, April? Was it April?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It seems like it was just yesterday and 6 months ago.
I know.
We did a lot of work with access consciousness. And one of the things that came up during that for me was, how can we blend the two together? Because I have noticed with myself in my own business, personal life, everything, blending the two together has made a huge difference. In fact, I was sharing with my VA this morning that over this past weekend, so just really quickly, the generator theme is frustration, and our signature is satisfaction. And I was sharing with her this morning that I said, over the weekend, I just felt this deep sense of peace and satisfaction, and it was there, like it kept staying there. And I had experienced that in short, little brief periods of time in my life, but not where it was just days of it. And it's still there, this sense of like, oh, my energy is going in the right place with the right people doing the right things, and I feel very satisfied. And that, and she even said, I've watched you over the years, and it's amazing how you've really changed, and I can tell the difference. And so that piece, I want that for all the generator types out there. And when I say generator types, it includes manifesting generators, because as Angela and I were just talking about, we're 70% of the population. Mm-hmm. And that theme of frustration, we have a huge influence and impact in the world. And being able to access and be and live and create from that sense of satisfaction has an impact on all of us, not just us as individuals, but all of us as a collective. So anyway, that's me. And I just want to briefly introduce Angela. She, again, is the founder of Ignite. And if you have never been there, you must be there next year. It is truly one of the most incredible events I've ever been to. She is a truth guide, an incredible transformational being, and I have invited her to be a part of this because she's a projector. And projectors are here to guide us, especially generator types. So, Angela, tell us a little bit more about you and
Yeah.
what you bring.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. It's very interesting of actually how quickly this all came together. Chris and I just talked last week. She said, I have this idea that won't leave me alone. Here's what it is. And I'm officially inviting you, because projectors, we have our own version of waiting. We wait for the invitation.
Yeah.
And so it was a couple of years ago that I was really frustrated in my business. It was my own version of being frustrated. And I could not figure out why. And so then when I discovered human design and had a conversation with Chris, I have been a marketing coach and business coach since really 2009. And I couldn't figure out my own marketing. And one of the reasons for that was because I was not being invited. So every time I would do what I was told to do, like go out and apply for all these speaking gigs or do whatever, and I would push myself out there, it would feel like absolute crap. It would not work. And then I had all this proof of ways to judge myself until I met Chris, and she said, wait a second, if you just shifted this around. So I just want to mention that piece, because I think there's some overlap of that feeling of frustration that comes from waiting. Yeah. Like we have to wait for someone else. And so one of our intentions for this, and an invitation that we have for you to explore this even deeper, is to turn that frustration into empowerment. Mm-hmm. Because if you are running your life and your business that you have to wait to respond, generators and manifesting generators, just as I was telling myself I had to wait to be invited, we become victims to our superpowers. Mm-hmm. Like there's a shift here that we can change, that we can start creating at a much more rapid pace with total ease and trust. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that piece. But the other thing that I think is really important to mention today is that 70% of my clients, 70% of the population, manifesting generators and generators, but I work with a lot of generators and manifesting generators. And had I known what we're going to be talking about today, in the next, several weeks, actually, had I known this information years ago, there would be a lot less judgment on my part and my client's part. Yeah. A lot more flow, a lot more collaboration, and a lot more results. Yeah. Because I move it a different way. I create a different way. And had I known these pieces, I know that I could have been a deeper support. It's all perfect. I get it. It's all perfect. And there's an awareness of, oh, I see what's really happening. And so when my clients come to me and there's this period of waiting and frustration, and sometimes a little bit of spinning in circles, and then I remember that they're a manifesting generator or generator, I'm like, oh, I know how to get them out of that. Yeah. Instead of just push your way through it. Come on, just, it's mind over matter. It's like, no, it's not actually, not for generators and manifesting generators. So anyway, just a snippet. And then of course the access consciousness piece of clearing out the conditioning and the beliefs. And if you're not familiar with access consciousness, I know Niket and Joanne, you're both at Ignite, whether live stream or in person, so you're familiar with that. And so anyone who's listening live or listening to the recording, we'll get you caught up to speed here before the end of our time together today.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Angela. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just being a guide and a friend and your badass self. That's all I got to say. So let's talk a little bit about this period of waiting and the frustration that happens for us generators. So if you watched my little Facebook video the other day, I mentioned the slave, the slut, and the self-saboteur. And I know Angela was like, slave, and I go, readers will get that term. And it has a lot of charge around it, because what happens for us, and it's self-imposed slavery, okay? It really is. I think in human design, the guy who downloaded it and talked about it originally, he talked about how, it over time in society, it's been that we as generators, because we have all this life force energy in that sacral center that we bring, that life force energy is the energy that makes flowers open, the sun set and rise, and it's amazing, the cycles of the seasons. That is the energy of the generator. We fuel all of that. Really take that in for a second. the thing is you can't fuck it up. You can't get it wrong. You're already contributing to the planet in an amazing way. And where we get frustrated is with all that energy, we want to do more with it. And it's so potent that when you're in that creation mode and you're waiting, it's like, I got to do something. I want to do something with this energy. And when we get in the way of that process, we end up doing one of three things: becoming a slave to it, a slut, or a self-saboteur. So let me talk really quick about each one of those. The self-imposed slavery comes in when we do get a clear hit from our authority. When we get a huge a hit from our authority, a clarity from our gut or emotions. So if you're a generator type, your authority is either pure gut or emotional clarity. Okay. So yeah, we have a yes, we're clear on it. We have a yes from the business, and we're going to talk about what I mean by that in a few minutes. And we're like, all systems go. And then we just start tearing down the path towards that. But we're not checking in step by step by step and listening, because it's a moment by moment process for generators and manifesting generators. And I have an example of that, is that a couple weeks ago, I painted my office. One wall was gorgeous, 3 walls. I rolled on the first, roll, and I was like, ugh, my gut was like, ugh. And I kept going. I didn't listen to it. I was like, well, maybe it'll get better.
Maybe 3 walls will look better than just this one stripe.
Like, more's better. More is better. I mean, and it was interesting because I was rolling and rolling and thinking this is horrible, but I couldn't stop. How many of you get that feeling? You're like, I can't stop. I'm already going. And this is part of the generator theme, is that once we say yes to something, once we put that energy in there, it's really hard to say no. And so what ended up happening was, a couple days later, I walk in there, I'm like, this is hideously ugly. So I had to repaint it, not just once, but twice, with 2 coats of white paint to cover that up. And so I essentially became a slave to my own process, because I didn't listen. All right. So that's where the slavery comes up. And the slut is that when you're waiting, people will come along, or ideas will come along, and they're not even yours, or they're not the right people. And you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, I got all this energy. Yes, 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 yes. And then what happens is that when your true thing that's for you comes along, your schedule is too full to do it. You don't have the energy anymore because you've said yes to all these other things. And so you have to finish those up. And then you're resentful, of all the people you said yes to. And you're like, well, I'm not getting any energy back. I'm getting my life force sucked out of me. You're just basically slutting your energy around, right? And I have been all of these things, by the way. And the self-saboteur is all the white centers in your chart. Even if you just have one, these centers are where our self-sabotage comes in, because that is who we are not. That is, in human design, we call it the not self. And it's where all the conditioning comes in. It's where we take on the emotions and thoughts and intuitions, and like, maybe not the intuitions, but like the hits, right? Like ideas and all of that from other people. And we think they're ours, and we have to do it. Mm-hmm. And this is where I think Access Consciousness has been such a huge piece of it for me, because the self-saboteur is like, this is where we compare ourselves to others. And that conditioning, as I said, it's like we get pulled to do the things that aren't for us to do. And so the Access Consciousness tools have been amazing for deconditioning and helping me to see where I'm being pulled in all these different ways. I said earlier that our authority, especially for generators, manifesting generators, is either our gut, or our gut and our authority, or our emotional clarity. The mind is a terrible place to make a decision. It's not designed that way. It can only be in the past or the future. But access conscious and the mind, but the mind is a great place to ask questions, to get clarity. And that's where the tools of access consciousness come in, because it can help it gives the mind something to do, and it enrolls it in a different way so that you can use the mind to help you on the creative path, not to totally derail you. So Angela, why don't you talk a little bit about access consciousness here and kind of the tools and how it works?
Yeah, so access consciousness, I could talk about it for years because I love it so much, and it's created such a just massive change in my life, every area of my life, everything from my bank account to my marriage to my body. And so what this is, a couple foundational pieces with this. So, accessconsciousness.com, you can look it up there, which sometimes people like the information that's there. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to them. So I will give you a context here, but it's really about how to ask questions to create. There have actually been a lot of studies done around the power of asking questions. In fact, like the co-founder of Google, I'm trying to think of some others, they call it Montessori Mafia. And so in Montessori schools, like all these kids who went to Montessori schools, they're taught in the energy of curiosity and wonder and asking questions. And they've studied these kids who've gone on to be amazing innovators and basically question askers. And so they're creating innovation, solutions, and possibilities through asking questions rather than trying to find the answer. And so one of these questions, for example, one of the questions that I asked Chris and I before we actually hopped onto this live call was, what energy, space, and consciousness can we be to be the magic we truly be and have so much fun and release all attachment to details and the outcome and just be present? And so what we do when we ask, and that's kind of a longer, what I call expansive question, right? So a really simple example of a question could be, what else is possible here that I've never even imagined? So what we're doing when we're asking questions like that is we are cutting through our mind, we're cutting through our conditioning, and this is not a question for our brain to answer. So think about, since you were a kid, you have been rewarded for coming up with the right freaking answer. Mm-hmm. And so then we start putting all of our accolades, and we just start trying to get the right answer rather than asking what E. Cummings says, a more beautiful question. Mm-hmm. And so not that, a more beautiful question, like what does that really mean? But it's like asking questions, what it does two things. Is it changes your energetic field. So everything is energy, energy is everything. And we know this. Mm-hmm. It activates the universe to conspire and co-create with you. Mm-hmm. And so when you ask, what else is possible here that I've never even imagined? And we're asking it with a true energy of curiosity, wonder, that childlike wonder that asks why. And they're not being annoying, but they're like, no, really, I want to know why the sky is blue. And that's when I Google it, right? You're like, I don't know, but let's find out together. But that childlike wonder. And so when you're asking questions, I'll just go back to that example of what else is possible here that I've never even imagined. The universe starts conspiring with you and on your behalf and for you. And so if you are building your business, creating relationships, working with clients from a place of questions, even, I know that Julie, I think if it's the same Julie who's an artist, is this the one who makes the cards, Chris, who's on the line?
No, that's Julia.
Oh, different. Okay, got it. Sorry. So I'm just thinking of like anyone who has a creative endeavor.
Yeah.
I know that I started doing this years ago, and I did my jewelry design business. I would look at this like pile of beads, and I didn't even know I was doing this, and now I have more context. And I would ask in my mind, what would you like to be? Who are you for? And I would get this almost instant download of this design. I'm like, I wonder. And then I would be at an art show, and every single time there would be someone who would come up, try it on, and go, oh my God, I think this is made for me. And I'm like, yep, I tuned in your energy like 7 months ago. I didn't even know who you were. So imagine something like that could happen in your marketing, in your relationships, with your body, your relationship with your body. I mean, like all these pieces. So anyway, I get a little bit geeked out. So that's one tool. Another tool that we're going to use a lot, especially for generators, manifesting generators, is return to sender with consciousness. And what we do when we say that is that all of the things that we've been implanted with. So this is how you do XYZ. This is how you're supposed to, wear clothing. This is how you're supposed to do your hair. This is whatever it is. This is how you're supposed to run your business. how much of that is really true for you versus how much of that have been all these formulas and programs and conditioning and all the stuff that you've been absorbing either empathically, telepathically, or you've been buying into those programs, sometimes like literally, coming from someone who invested $250,000 in the latest programs and coaches and events and shit, because I was like, somebody has to have the answer because I clearly don't have mine. Look at all these people making more money than I am.
Right.
And so all of that is not even yours. And so if you're trying to run your business, especially if you don't have your heart center defined and your heart is not in it, then what will happen is spinning in circles time and time and time again. And the unfortunate piece to this is that I find a lot of people spinning in circles of self-judgment and self-doubt. Like, oh my God, there's got to be something wrong with me because look at all these other people where the 7-step formula worked for them. And I just spent $20,000 learning that and I didn't do it. So when we say return to center with consciousness, I look at that as this energetic vacuum. The universe just like does a sweep of like everything that's not yours returns to sender. So think about, let's just look at money, for example. How many money patterns are running in your life, your bank account, in your business that aren't even yours? It's your parents, it's their parents and how many generations before that. It is your coaches or your mentors or whatever it is, but is it truly the way you want to be building your relationship with money? So asking questions, return to center with consciousness, and then we've got a clearing statement that is it's kind of like tapping, like EFT, or if you've done emotional freedom technique, it's a similar concept like that. And so it's a way that you just clear out energy so that when you clear out the energy of all the things you're supposed to do and all those fixed beliefs, then you can be 100% true to you and make decisions from that truth place rather than all the places you should do or the spaces of those fixed beliefs that you're like, I know this doesn't work for me, but I don't know how to choose anything different because it's just so embedded. And that's when we're conscious of it. That doesn't even include like the beliefs, the fixed beliefs that we have that we're not even conscious of, all the unconscious stuff. So what could be possible for everything that you're working on, business, relationships, like all areas of your life, if you were 100% true to you and you could choose for you without any of those beliefs getting in the way and influencing you in a way that leads you off of your path? Because we're talking about total alignment here. And we know that that 1 degree shift over the next year is a lot more than 1 degree at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like, how do we course correct? Just make these small tweaks, enjoy, possibility, fun, and ease, instead of redoing things a year later or 6 months later or 3 walls later.
Yeah, 3 walls later.
Example. So anyway, does that help, Chris? Any questions about that, or hopefully that explained it a little bit?
I think that's great. And one of the things too, I'll give you a quick example about how this works, is last Monday I woke up and I had just done my first bars class. So I had, a lot of space, but I had cleared a lot. I had a lot more awareness of what was possible for me. And I woke up Monday morning and I was supposed to do this call. I was supposed to do this call last Tuesday, and it felt really heavy. I mean, it like oppressively heavy. And I was thinking, oh my God, what's going on? And at this point, Angela and I had not even had a conversation, right? So this is Monday morning, 6 a.m., hit the floor, and I'm, driving to the grocery store to get milk. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I just feel like, I should do the call, but I don't feel it. And then I was in all this judgment of myself. So I started asking myself questions like, what's right about this situation that I'm not getting? Because I'm judging the hell out of myself, right? And it was like, as soon as I said that and I did the clearing statement, and there was all this space, and I was like, oh, well, wait a minute. What does this want to be that I'm not letting it be, because I've already decided that to be in integrity means that I have to keep going with what I said was going to be there when it's not flowing there anymore. Mm-hmm. And as soon as, again, clearing that kind of stuff, in fact, let's just clear it right now. Angela, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, so if you haven't heard the clearing statement.
Anybody on the line is in that place right now. Go ahead.
Yes, if you haven't heard the clearing statement, the first time I heard it, I was like, this is total bullshit.
Yeah.
It sounds like alien language. I don't even know what it is, but it's essentially short code for 9 pages of how energy works. And we have a belief, just think about it in this like little molecule, right? And so we can keep trying to move it and cover it up and mask it, try to poke a hole in it. But what happens if we actually just eliminate it?
Mm-hmm.
You can always choose it again.
Yeah.
But if we eliminate it, there's space for you to actually choose. See, what happens is when we are run by all these implants and all these beliefs and all the shoulds, then we are just becoming robots. We're becoming the slaves, the self-imposed slaves, right? Well, this is just the way it is. And we're not consciously choosing. So if we're not consciously choosing, how the hell can we create anything we desire?
Yeah.
Notice like if you've had a challenge with manifesting. So just think about everywhere that you're shoulding on yourself. Like, I'm actually thinking of something where I've been sort of invited to another country to do an event. And I'm like, I don't know, it's just feeling heavy, but I should go because I told people I'm going to go. So whatever example that is, like you should get your book done by a certain date, or you should blah, 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 like whatever that is, just bring up that energy. And how does it feel in your body?
Blech.
Is there lightness or is there heaviness? And when there's heaviness, then we're literally adding this atomic weight to these molecules of like trying to buy a lie, trying to force ourselves to do something because it's not our truth. Where there's lightness, then it's about your truth and alignment. So if it feels light and expansive, it's like, oh yes, that's my yes. When there's a heaviness, then we're buying into a lie. So just whatever that situation is, just bring up that energy. And whatever that is times a godzillion. So godzillion, you can go past like just it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Okay.
It's a
We
lot.
destroy and uncreate it. And I'm not going to explain what I'm doing here because it's actually designed to bypass your cognitive mind. And we're looking at it from an energetic level. Yeah. So if you were to actually just rate that heaviness on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to do this, 1 being it's not a problem. I want you to just think about what that number is. And we're going to look at that in just a couple of moments to see what's lightened up about that. So whatever that heaviness is, wherever you're shooting on yourself, wherever you're telling yourself that in order to be in integrity, you have to do what you said you were going to do. It doesn't matter that you're out of integrity with yourself and your truth, but you have to be in integrity. And like whatever that is, times a godzillion, will destroy and uncreate it all. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. That's the crazy statement I was telling you about, okay? So we just clear that energy. There's something else here. Let me just tune into what that is. Whatever you're telling yourself that it just can't be this easy to change. It can't be this easy to change your beliefs. It can't be this easy to create something new because we've been taught in a lot of spiritual circles, educational and religious, that you have to work harder in order for it to be worth it. So wherever that belief is running your life, so therefore you keep making it harder. And that desire, that end goal just keeps like you keep missing it by that much because you just haven't worked hard enough. And just a thumbs up for those of you on video, like, is this resonating? You're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that. And by the way, it's showing up that way in my bank account too, like whatever that is. And here's the really cool thing about it is we don't have to go to, oh, well, when I was 3, this happened. When I was 17, then someone told me this. Or when I was 35, energy is intelligence. So when we say whatever that is, all the energy molecules are like, oh my gosh, that's me. I just imagine these little happy molecules going, I'm finally being acknowledged.
Right.
Instead of judged, instead of shamed, instead of shut down.
Yeah.
I'm acknowledging it. And when we can acknowledge those beliefs, then we can release it.
Yeah.
So everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it? Times a godzillion. In all lifetimes, all universes, all choices, all whatever. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And return to sender everything in this moment that you're trying to process emotionally, intellectually, physically that's not even yours. Return to center with consciousness. Return to center with consciousness and just keep saying that. And for those of you who can identify with being empathic and maybe even being empathic to the point if it's created physical pain in your body, this one tool will change your life. Mm-hmm. So if this is the only thing you get is return to center with consciousness. Again, you just imagine this energetic sweep of everything in your body, your being. And I even extend it to like, gosh, everything in the room that I'm in, the house that I'm in, the bank account that I have, like everything that's not even mine, I return to center with consciousness. And that with consciousness piece adds a really, in my opinion, critical component, because it's not like you're dropping a pile of poo in someone's lap. Like, here, mom, you can have all your stupid beliefs, you know? It's not that. Consciousness is kindness. It's a space where everything exists without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a space of unconditional love. So when you return to center with consciousness, you are letting it go, so that whoever generated that belief or whatever it was, it's like they actually have the tools and the consciousness that they can change it, because we cannot change what is not ours.
Right.
We repeat that. We cannot change what is not ours. So return to center with consciousness. So with all this crazy language, if it's the first time you've heard it, you might be going, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
And if you are familiar with Access, then you already get the craziness. So as you think about those shoulds that you were impaling upon yourself just a few moments ago, and it was on the scale of 1 to 10, has that gotten lighter for you?
Mm.
Is there a lightness in your reality and in your universe? And you can't maybe even explain it, but you're like, what I find is when people start using these tools or even introduced to them, there's a space of like, they can actually just take a breath.
Yeah.
And there's space, and wherever there's space, we can create. Wherever there's no space, we don't create.
Exactly.
So anyway, how does anything else you want me to explain a little bit differently, Chris, or how does that feel?
I think that's fantastic. And one of the things that I, again, like bringing it back to why combine it with human design? Because in a way, Access Consciousness says like, we're not limited at all in any way. And so it's very much, like we're expanding beyond who we are and not constricting ourselves. And sometimes people go, well, you know, in human design, well, I don't want to be labeled, or it's just this, or I'm this, or I'm that. And so it can feel very constrictive. And what I love about this is that human design simply acknowledges in an objective way, this is how your energy flows. It just does. Right? And so what's cool is that by combining Access Consciousness, what we're doing is we're accessing the consciousness of your design in a different way. It's been said that it takes 7 years, once you learn what your design is, it takes 7 years to become in alignment with it. Well, I don't know about you, and that's fine. I mean, I've been experimenting with my design for years and years now, and every day I get a little more awareness. But what has exponentialized it, what has allowed me to get really clear what is mine, what is not mine, and literally, I don't know how else to say it, access my design in a different way is through these tools that Angela has been sharing. And it's like everywhere where you can see that you're creating your business from not even you. It's not even your energy. And where is that? Where you can stop doing that, not only stop doing it, but actually make money because of the awareness that you have from what you learned there. It is actually possible to, because you've been aware in that open center, a center that's white, you could look at that and say, wow, this is so not me. And this is what other people are struggling with. I can help them with that now because I have a consciousness around it. I am at choice. I am not being conditioned. And the thing that has been the bane of your existence, if you will, the patterns, can actually be the thing that you serve the world with. Because of that awareness.
Yeah.
It's like when I think about that, it makes my heart, I don't know, I just want to explode. I'm like, crap, because that's what's available to us. And yeah, I can't even say anything.
Let me add to that, because when you said, so I want you guys to check in when you said they, experts, whoever the hell they is, we have them all that like they say that you should have whatever. They say that it takes 7 years for you to be in alignment or implement your design.
Yeah.
Truth. Does that feel heavy or light for you? Like when you heard that,
heavy.
Like I went to just like, well, shit, what's the point?
Exactly.
Like, I have to wait 7 fucking years to be in alignment. I'm calling bullshit.
Right.
So this is what we're doing is we're calling, like Chris and I are calling bullshit of everything and everyone who've told you like, this is the way it is, including your human design chart.
Yes.
So here's the flip side, and Chris and I have talked about this, is because I've had a couple clients who've said, after Ignite, they're like, oh, well, because I'm a generator or manifesting generator, I have to wait. And I'm like, nope. What do you choose?
Yeah.
So waiting to respond is different than I have to wait.
Yeah.
So a perfect example of this is, so my husband, do you know if a manifesting generator or generator? I can never remember. Generator. Okay. So this was a couple years ago, and we were having what we normally have about once a year of kind of this like big life conversation. Cause I always get this little wild hair of like, let's just sell everything we own and travel around the world. He's
Me
like,
too.
That sounds freaking exhausting. I don't want to do that. And so I asked him the question of, what do you really want? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And he looks at me, he's like, I fucking hate that question.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it when I'm asked in job interviews. I hate it when you ask me, because it makes me feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I was
You
like,
don't know.
Wait, what? And I was like, how can you not know what you want in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a session with Chris, like he and I together. And I was like, even now I could cry going, I had no idea.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he wants. And so now what I do is I give him something to respond to.
Yes.
So this is a tool for you generators. And Julie said earlier that she's not a generator, but she's a projector like I am, but she's surrounded by generators because, hello, they make up 70% of the population. Yeah. And so for projectors especially, we see it all.
Yeah.
I see the trajectory. I see what one micro decision, how that impacts everything. So that's why I'm really good at what I do, is when people say, I want to do this in my business, and I go, okay, got it. I see the vision and I can help you step by step to get there, right? I can guide you there. And so now what I do with my sweet, amazing husband is I say, hey, what about this? And I give him some options.
Yes.
And I know I have to give him at least a week to respond to those possibilities. So the current conversation in our household is, I want to build a house in Costa Rica. He's like, well, yeah, I love the idea of that, but I've never been there. I don't know what the house is going to look like. And so I need to experience it first, and then I'll be able to tell you what it is I want to do. 10 years ago, I would have just like flipped out going, you don't support me, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't want to live this dream. And now I know that what's playing here, or what's at play here, is his requirement to wait to respond to something. And I've got to give him something to respond to. Exactly. I can't tell you how much more amazing our marriage is. And so if you're being coached by someone, or married to someone, or even children who maybe tell you things like, can you just make up your mind? Can you just get your shit together? Like, what's wrong with you? They're not acknowledging your superpowers. There's a saying that years ago, and I really bought into this, and it said, successful people make decisions quickly and make changes slowly. Unsuccessful make changes quickly and make decisions slowly. And I bought into that because I could relate with it. I'm a person I instantly know, I can instantly choose. Well, that is completely cutting off 70% of the population, my friends, the generators and manifesting generators. So you're not going to maybe choose as quickly according to like what is on the like outside looking in. But when you choose what's in alignment for who you really are, not what you should, that's a game changer. And so part of like why Chris and I have gotten together is to understand your human design even better, but then clear out all the stuff, all the programming, conditioning, projections, and shoulds that are preventing you from seeing what you'd really choose and what's true for you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we could go on and on.
I know. We could geek out on this forever. And it's interesting. I just want to touch on that waiting piece too, is that, you know, again, those three different things I talked about, the slave, the slut, and the self-saboteur, it's when we're in the process of that waiting, that's where we tend to get in trouble. But then also along the way, like once we've said yes to something, we can get shifted out of alignment along the pathway. And again, the tools, the access consciousness tools, have allowed me to just stay true to what I know. I'm a gut person. I do know things pretty quickly, but 51% of the population are emotional authority. So 51% of that 70% of generator types they have to wait for emotional clarity. So that can take a little bit of time, and asking the questions along the way can really make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things, Angela's going to talk a little bit more about it, but we created something really, really cool. It's called Access Your Design, and it's 5 weeks of deconditioning and allowing you to really get to know your design. Where are you getting derailed, and what to do in that waiting process? Angela, why don't you talk a little bit about what
Yeah, so a couple of things I just want to reiterate is, if, like I said, if there's nothing else, like you have a tool now, Return to Center with Consciousness.
Yes, for sure.
You have how Access Consciousness can support you in your human design. But also the other big takeaway that I'm seeing is I'm hoping that you all leave with full permission to be you. Like,
Yes.
anyone impaling you with that point of view of like you're not doing it fast enough or right enough, or you need to decide differently, are you willing to honor who you are and not have to explain yourself or apologize for who you are being to anyone else ever again? So I want you to just like picture your life a year from now, if that was how your natural mode of operation.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to make someone happy, trying to, do something because you're supposed to, what if you had more tools? You had the ability to ask more questions. You understood your design better and deeper, not even better, but deeper. And that you truly live from that place rather than from any expectations, including your own, but you were just true to yourself. So the $1 million question is, can Chris and I assist you with getting to that place? So what we've put together for you, like Chris said, is called Access Your Design. And so it's 5 weeks. And I'm just going to go over what we're doing over those 5 weeks. And then I'll give you guys the link so that you can check this out. So week number 1 is the generator strategy. So that whole waiting to respond. How do you deal with that? Because I know that it can be frustrating, just like as a projector, wait to be invited. It pisses me off still, even though I know how to do it. And there's a piece that comes with it because I know how to work with that.
Yeah.
And so wherever waiting to respond has been your nemesis, like it's been the thing that's really created a lot of frustration, what's that 1 degree shift that we change it from frustration to your place of power? And you set up your life and your business so that you can respond to things, and you're no longer like having to wait, but you're choosing to pause.
Yes.
Choosing to pause versus having to wait is a very different energy. One place that you're a victim, I have to wait, versus, oh, I'm choosing to because I know this is going to create the most amazing results that I've never even imagined before. So that's week number 1, is how to change that waiting to respond into your superpower instead of your frustration.
Yeah.
Week number 2 is clearing all the, what Chris calls the not self energy. So everything that you've adopted, you've been implanted with, you've been impaled, projected with, all the shoulds that you've even put upon yourself. What would it look like to just clear all that away so that you can get clear about what is true for you, what's aligned for you, and have the courage to say yes to that? Week number 3 is your heart in it? So especially for manifesting generators, is if your heart's not in it, you're not going to do it. And so how do you determine like what's really in alignment with your heart, what's true for you? And then how do you amplify that energy so that you can create with speed, trust, and a lot more fun than what you've been creating with? Week number 4, and again, I'll give you the link so that you have these details, is your decision making and your authority. So making decisions, in other words, choosing your choice, we know that this is the thing that creates freedom. But if we're making decisions from a place of default or what we should, and we're making those places from a lack of clarity, it's going to be that, you're going to paint 3 walls in your office, or go down a path in your business, or start, doing something in your marriage. It's like, oh, this is what I should do, but something's just off here. So how do you make those decisions and honor your authority? And I think there's a huge component through all of these principles of, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone.
Yeah.
Like when you are true to you and you are 100% confident and trusting that, other people are not going to question you. And if they do, then it's just like, oh, no problem. Like you don't have the need to explain yourself. And that is a freedom all on its own as well. And then week number 5 is how to commune with and create with other people, with your business. And so that we're going to bring in some more access consciousness tools there so that you can really tune into. So this whole, waiting to respond. So how do you tune into the energy of your business or programs or whatever you're creating so that you can commune, like really communicate and connect with these things that you're creating? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the summary of the 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so these are all live Zoom calls. Everything's recorded. And here's the really cool part is, Chris and I, we communed with this program.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what price point would it like to be? Like, we're making decisions from a place of truth and alignment, not from a place of, well, this is what it should be, or this is what the value is. Because truly the value of this is, worth thousands of dollars over even the next few months.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we priced it super easy at $127.
Yeah.
So this is designed for generator types and people who want to understand generator types.
Yeah.
So Julie, you mentioned, you're a projector like I am. Like, one of the reasons I'm so excited to co-lead this with Chris is I can understand the generators, which are the majority of people around me, even better, so that I can co-create with them in even a stronger way. So that link, let me actually just post it in the chat box.
We're also going to be doing one for the other types as well. We will be doing ones that will focus on the other types so that everybody can have these tools, but specific to them. So.
Yeah. So projectors, you're not left out. You'll be invited soon.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a link right there. So again, it's $127. We start in July. So you've got a couple of weeks to enjoy, some of your summer and wrapping some things up. And these calls are going to be about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be time for some Q&A. Like, we really want this to be interactive with all of you. Any other details, Chris, that I left out?
We have a few bonuses on the page too. So you want to check those out. And they're definitely there to support you. There's stuff around human design. Angela does some marketing archetypes, and we found that the marketing archetypes really do dovetail nicely with human design and with the Access consciousness. It kind of just helps you to understand. What's cool about the marketing archetypes is it's not just for business. It will show you how you show up in your relationships too. Again, all these different layers of information and awareness that will help you show up across the board differently, not just in your business. So that's that. I'm super excited about that. Niket, you asked a link to the page, Joanne. I think if you scroll up in the chat box, it's there, but we will send it out in an email after this as well. You asked, is there a difference, or what is the difference between generator and manifesting generator? So they're very similar. They're both generator types, but manifesting generator has a little bit of the manifestor energy in it. It looks a little bit different. And basically they have a motor center directly connected to the throat, which probably means nothing to you, but it makes things a little bit faster. So manifesting generators can actually manifest things even a little bit faster than pure generators, but they also have to be careful that they don't get ahead of themselves. So we're going to be talking about the difference of those as well during this session. But both have to wait to respond. But they do look a little bit different, and we're going to address exactly what that looks like and why it's so important.
And even think about this from a sales perspective. Have you ever been, in a sales conversation? And the way we've been taught sales in the coaching world is like 15 minutes. You should make a $20,000 decision in 15 minutes. If not, then you're buying into someone's projections or objections. And it's like, that's such bullshit. So it's just like, think about that of like, for especially generators and manifesting generators, you'd probably be, and I'm just putting this generalization out there, so see if this aligns for you, be better served if you could sleep on it. Especially considering your emotional authority.
If you're emotional authority,
in a sales conversation, and you're the person doing the buying or potential buying, and someone's pressuring you because that's what they're supposed to do. And you're like, oh, well, in order to be a good entrepreneur, or like, I need to make decisions quickly. And so then we force ourselves to do something, and then we have buyer's remorse or that regret of just like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Because you didn't allow yourself to choose in a way that works for you. So Niket, are you a generator or a manifesting generator?
Well, can I say one thing real quick before you say something about that? What I think that is it's choosing from the not self. That's what's happening in that. So either whether you're emotional authority or your gut person, it's when we get conditioned to choose from the not self, and we have a whole coaching industry that is actually built upon the whole reason the coaching industry exists is it actually reinforces the not self. It doesn't know it's doing that, but it is. And that's why we make the decisions that we make. And this is where we're really empowering you to make the decisions and the choices from a different place, and to understand the difference between choice and decision. Not just from that definition that most of us know, but also really from the space of creating from a different awareness of who is making the choice, who in here is making the choice to do this or that.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So Nikat, are you a manifesting generator or a generator? I'm just curious.
Manifesting generator.
Okay, cool. So Shannon, we both know Shannon Hernandez is a manifesting generator as well. And so you can see that energy of someone who has a little bit of that manifestor in there, like she makes shit happen. Like so you have that capacity in your own way, like that you can make things happen like a little bit faster. Like people probably look at you like, you just make things happen. How do you do that? You're just like, I don't know, there's another way to.
Yeah.
If that's not happening, then where are you adopting someone else's version of what you should be doing?
Thank you.
You know, and even maybe to play the nice girl, or like, I've got to get along with everyone, and just like, no, I'm just going to move fast. Keep up with me if you want to play.
Right.
That's what I want.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it really is true that it's about this. This is not about getting everybody on the same page. The way we're creating this is it's going to be created by the energy of who's in there and the energy of all the people that will be listening to this at some point. And it's really, truly about helping people to come into alignment with their design, your own design. And the clearings that we're going to be doing are going to be able to, anybody could learn how to modify them. But what I love about it is that so often when we're doing clearings, it's sort of like, well, I don't know what to clear. I don't even know where I'm like being conditioned. We have a map of how you're being conditioned. I can show you exactly where you're being conditioned. And so we can exactly go in and hone in on the ways that people are generally being conditioned. And then through some Q&A and laser coaching, be able to create some clearings for the people that are in it specifically. So, yeah.
So just in summary, we want to honor your time. So a couple of things is you're going to understand your own human design, learn tools from Access Consciousness. And also there's going to be some marketing archetype piece. A lot of entrepreneurs, we attract a lot of entrepreneurs. So how does this get expressed in your business? So the money shows up in your bank account. So we're going to be bridging that gap as well. But teaching a lot of tools that you can clear stuff on your own and how to ask expansive, powerful questions. Because when you ask questions, that's how you access your design, your awareness, your truth, like that alignment piece for you. So we hope, we invite you to join us. We'd love to see you there. If you've got any questions, you can, if you're friends with me on Facebook, send me a message. You've got Chris's email address. Yeah,
for sure.
Any other questions before we wrap up, or anything else that you want to make sure we mention, Chris?
No, I have to just say that hands down, of anything that I've ever created in my business, I am most excited about this. I am just over the moon. Again, because it's like, I have clients who come to me and we do readings and they're like, well, how do I implement it? And I work with them over time to implement it, but this is like a fast track to implementing it. It's like, I geek out on it every time I think about it. It makes me just want to like laugh, cry, and like scream all the time of joy. And
we're making it super easy for you guys.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because we just, it just had, like when we communed with the program, you'll be learning how to do this even more if you don't already know. It was this energy of,
thanks, Julie.
Just, there's got to be some skin in the game, right? And to create freedom for as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Like this is, we're bridging these tools together. So
yeah. What's also cool, I will just say too, is if most of the people that do come to us are coaches, this is a great thing for your clients also, so that if you're coaching generators, manifesting generators, and of course, when we do the other programs as well, it'll help you to understand how to work with your clients so that they get better results with you. You look like a rock star. They get the results that they're paying for with you in your most awesome way. And we're all out of judgment of each other. We're like, it's like a huge wave of awesomeness
Yeah.
through the universe,
Mhm.
for lack of a better
Yeah.
way of saying it. Anyway.
There's one other question that people asked if it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. It's weekly, so one call a week. And everything's recorded, and you'll have 24/7 lifetime access to those recordings
Yep.
as well. So
Yep.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, let us know if you have any other questions. Again, we invite you to play with us. We hope to see you there. And even if you're not of a generator type, you want to understand everyone else in your life, this would be awesome.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.